I feel a bit silly. When I reviewed my Aarke water purifier, I talked about how it was almost plastic free. The cartridge is made from stainless steel and the jug is glass. That is quite a rare combination for a water filter. Then a commenter pointed out that the filter granules contain ion exchange resin beads, which are a form of plastic. I know that a lot of people are concerned about microplastics, and a lot of people buy these filters thinking minimal plastic. Nice. I certainly did. Well, the great thing about an Aarke filter is that you can fill it with whatever you want. Aarke makes two types of granules and both contain ion exchange resin. But there's another company called Phox, Phox, and they make three types of granules. I will pop them on screen. Their alkaline pack doesn't contain ion exchange resin. Instead, it's got coconut shell activated carbon to absorb things like lead, copper and chlorine, and it also increases the calcium and magnesium in your water. So no plastic, but it is not designed to get rid of limescale. I emailed Phox to double check that these granules are actually plastic free, and I got this response from Lily, their AI bot. So, Aarke plus Phox. This is about as plastic free as a countertop water filter gets. I'll show you Aarke's Pure granules first, so you can see how they filter our hard water. Remember that they're designed to remove limescale. Then I will cover using Phox's granules in an Aarke filter and show you those results. But before I get into that, just a couple of things. You don't have to buy Phox granules. You can buy activated carbon on its own, and it's used in aquariums. A commenter on my Aarke review recommended buying them from a pet shop. It is entirely up to you, but it needs to be food grade, and that's where things get iffy. ChatGPT summarised it like this. Let's say you've got table salt versus industrial salt. Same chemical, very different safety standards. This is your drinking water. Please don't buy any old activated carbon. For me personally, I would stick with something that's been designed to filter drinking water for humans, but I am very risk averse. And on that note, a quick thing about microplastics. I have not researched them at all. It is not a topic that will sit well in my brain because I sometimes have health anxiety. I make small changes where I can, like replacing plastic chopping boards, Tupperware and sponges, and I leave it at that. All right, housekeeping done. I will show you the results now. And for context, we live in Norfolk in the UK and we've got really, really hard water. We used a Brita filter for years, then we switched to Aarke, and filtered water is definitely kinder on our appliances. This is the result of using filtered water in our kettle for a month, and you can see limescale building up, but quite slowly. This is what you get from Phox: granules and a small carbon felt disc. This disc should go into the top of the cartridge and it restricts the flow of water through the granules. Unfortunately, the Aarke cartridge isn't designed to take a disc. It's got a recessed mesh bit that won't allow the disc to sit flat. I put it in first, then pour the granules on top. Not my finest logic, to be honest. And now you'll see that one Phox pack doesn't quite fill an Aarke cartridge. This isn't ideal because you want a tight fit. Aarke gives you enough granules to really pack the cartridge without a millimetre to spare. I'm just going with it, and it's good that I'm making mistakes because you can see exactly what not to do. You need to soak the cartridge for 6 minutes, and I'm quite alarmed by the colour of the water. The cartridge then goes into the hopper and needs 2 changes of water. I will pop the specs on screen, but in short, Aarke's reservoir is large enough to satisfy Phox's requirements. Here's my initial impression. It looks like pond water. Thankfully, as more water goes through the cartridge, it starts to look like something you can drink. Excuse my slightly DIY setup, but hopefully you can see the difference. This is the one that's drinkable, it's been filtered, and it tastes perfectly fine to me. It doesn't taste that different to tap water, which is this one. I am going to trial this setup for 45 days, and I'll show you how it goes along the way. I do think because these Phox granules don't get rid of limescale, that poor Aarke jug is going to get quite sort of furred up, but we'll see how it goes and I will report back. I begin with a freshly descaled kettle, and after 1 week it looks horrible. It's not surprising because the cartridge hasn't been set up for success. There aren't enough granules in it and the felt disc isn't well placed. At this point, I give up, descale the kettle and start again. I buy another alkaline pack, and this time I fill the Aarke cartridge with enough granules to cover the recessed mesh bit. This allows the carbon disc to sit flat and hopefully do a better job. I used an entire pack of granules and I top up the cartridge from a second pack. I fill it as much as I can and I'm worried that the top won't screw on, but it does. I go through the soak and filter process again, and this time I feel like the water can barely filter through the cartridge. It's going, but very slowly. A litre of water takes 10 minutes to filter. I'm really pleased with this because maybe it'll actually have an effect this time. Now for a taste. Maybe there's a slight difference in taste, but it's really hard to describe. They're very similar. To be honest, it's not much better, but I wouldn't expect it to be because these granules aren't designed to remove limescale. Interestingly, after 2 weeks, I noticed that water is filtering through the cartridge really quickly again. We are back to 5 minutes for a litre. This is the point where I give up again, but not in a resigned way. This has been an interesting experiment and I've learned a lot. These Phox granules were never going to work with our hard water. We need the softener pack really, but I thought that it was worth filming because you may not have hard water and this could be a viable solution for you. Certainly the gentleman who commented on my Aarke review gets on well with activated carbon. He said that his water tastes like it's been Brita filtered. I was hoping for the same result, but sadly not. This isn't a perfect solution because for activated carbon to work well, water needs to filter through it slowly, and I'm not sure that's happening here. But I wanted to put this out there because I know that minimising plastic is important to a lot of people. I will review this small Aarke filter soon, and I've already got a review for the big one. I didn't want to buy a second filter, but I was told emphatically that we are not to use unfiltered water in our espresso machine. And now that I've seen what happened to the kettle, well, I agree. It would be great to know where you are in the world and what your water is like. Do you think that this setup could work for you, or do you use something else entirely? I would love to hear from you. Cheers for watching, and I will pop my Aarke review up on screen now.